This game's not won on social media. This game's not won on telephones. This game is won with shoulder pads, helmets, mouth guards, and sweat. That's how the game is won.
Welcome to week 8 of the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. I am Chip Perry, your host. Bill Neese as our head coach. Show brought to you by Dick Lumpkins. Got a bump, call Lump. Coach, big win for the Indians. 56-3 over Greenville on homecoming night. Hall of Fame night. It was a big night on Friday night in general. Indians really, now the score, they really came out early, came to play as a game we wore on them and did a nice job. Scored in several fashions in defense, offense. Big win for the Indians as we go into the next one.
It was, and we knew going into the game, and I'd stated last week, it's a tale of kind of two tapes because they were last statistically defensively, and they've given up a ton of points, but they were second in terms of offense, in terms of their rushing, in terms of their points, and et cetera, et cetera. So we knew going in that our defense was really going to, have to play a good game, and not a great game. And the running back, the leading rusher, I believe, in last year, and also first or second this year in the league. He's done a fantastic job. And so they came out and they were giving him the ball. At one point, they put him a wildcat. He threw a couple passes. He was returning punts and kicks. So he had the football in his hand quite a bit. And I thought our defense did an outstanding job of being able to keep him, under wraps. Yeah. And once we were able to do that, then obviously our offense kicked in. Our defense was lucky enough to get a couple of turnovers. Well, actually not lucky enough, but to be able to force a couple of turnovers. And, once that happened, I think just the momentum flipped over and, things kind of started rolling from there.
Well, let's talk about the defense first. It's easy to talk about the offense, but the defense, our two leading tacklers, Sam Streeton, again, just been solid all year, but leads the team with 11 tackles. Finn following up with 9. But there's the fumble recoveries. There were some great plays defensively that really kind of started. We talk about offensive momentum, but the defense really kind of set the tone.
It's an interesting thing when, to just the untrained eye or the general fan, you come in and say, well, Sneezy and Finley didn't have a very good game last week. They only had maybe 5 or 6 tackles. And we really emphasized the fact that it was a perimeter game last week, and our outside linebackers ended up with 21 tackles. And so now this week, it was a different game. It was a different game. It was not a perimeter game. So our outside linebackers were back to normal. Our 2 inside linebackers combined for 22 tackles, had 2 caused fumbles, and both of them each had a tackle also on special teams. So it's one of those things where I like keeping track of tackles. The biggest thing we do is we keep track of tackling attempts and if you missed a tackle. But there's some games where somebody maybe only has 2 tackles, but they played a heck of a game. They just did not have the traffic flow coming to their side, or et cetera, et cetera. And then there's sometimes where you get some good traffic flow, and those guys really had some good flow going at them, and as did our defensive line. Now our back end, our perimeter, our back end did not have a whole lot of action going on. They in turn kind of were slowing down, and our defensive line ended up, they together combined for 14 tackles, and I think 8 tackles down the line of scrimmage. So that front part, got the job done, early on. And it's interesting when you talk about, those guys with tackles. It's interesting because each position kind of has their own tackle to make, so to speak. Like, most of the secondary people are not going to have to come off the block to make a tackle. They're coming up and they're making tackles, on receivers. A guy running a hitch, they come up and they get a nice form tackle. Defensive linemen, they're coming off the block and they got like 1 second to make a tackle. Linebackers are flowing and they've got to stay on that back hip for that cut back. And so what we do is we actually have 5 tackling stations, and we broke down, and we got a lot of help from colleges, but we broke down, what kind of tackles happen during a game. The different angles, the different types of. And sometimes, a diving tackle, a diving, game-saving tackle, and we practice those kind of tackles too. So we have a station that we do virtually every day of tackling, and each one of those simulates a different type of tackle. Then we sit in there on Saturdays, and I'll freeze the film and go, and each tackling station is named after the coach that does the tackling station. So we will say, I'll stop the film and I'll say, what kind of tackle is that? And I'll say, John's tackle. What tackle is that? That's a Smitty tackle. That's a Krejci tackle. That's an Italy tackle. That's a Travis tackle. He does the scoop and score. So it's really interesting, how those guys, can put that into perspective in terms of that.
Go back to what you're talking about is teaching. And I hear you quite a bit talk about teaching. I think you even mentioned this Saturday night. Teaching and coaching. Anybody can put a whistle on, but it's teaching, and that's film, and you're teaching about not just technique, but the importance of everybody's got a different kind of talent.
Yeah, you teach football first, and then you coach it. You coach it secondly, and so many people want to just come out and coach it, and then say, no, don't do it like that. No, do it like that. No, you got to show them how to do it first. You got to do it correctly, and then the coaching part of it is, the polishing of it. Keeping people motivated, getting people generated and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting that in today's world, people are you got those so much equipment, dummies, that we can practice that kind of stuff, and you're teaching that diving tackle. I mean, one of the most misused cliches in football, I think, is somebody will say, well, quit arm tackling. Quit arm. Well, there's some times where that's all you got. All you got is an arm, and you need to practice getting that out there, and what everybody refers to as a gator tackle. And you got to get out there and get that guy on the ground one way or the other, desperation tackle, whatever. And also, it requires a lot of quickness. I mean, you can give me all the technique in the world. I can teach you all the technique in the world. And we go out there and we give Kai Warner the ball. Say, okay, get 10 yards away. Okay, Chip, go tackle him. Now use your fundamentals. Get your hips down.
Right.
Get your head up. Put your shoulder into him. Do all the things you're supposed to do, and you're going to get smoked every time. Because it does require, although angles and everything like that, it does require some quickness. And then that's where our weight room comes in. So all those combinations, but boy, if you got some quick guys and you can teach them some good techniques and good fundamentals, you can get some things done.
Well, certainly the Indians have been getting it done both on the offense and defense end of the football. We talking about the defense. Indians offensively, again, continue just to show not only can they get it done on the run game, but they can also get it done on the pass game. Brady's been looking out saying, Drayshawn, continue Mickey Anderson, continue each week to just evolve and get better.
It's amazing how many yards Drayshawn can accumulate during the course of a game, all-purpose yards. And you don't hear that a lot. That's kind of an old-school phrase, all-purpose yards. But not many people do all-purpose yards in terms of there's not many people that return punts, return kicks, catch balls, play defense, all at the same time. And he does it all. And he ended up and had over 160 all-purpose yards, which is incredible. Plus, he had probably what I thought was one of the best interceptions we've had in a long time. They ran a double depot route, and kept bringing it inside a couple times, and then they took the third guy and brought him out. Got everybody kind of rolling this way, and Drayshawn sniffed it out, did not collapse at all, actually expanded into it. The guy, quarterback stopped his timing route, threw it out there, and Drayshawn intercepted it perfectly. So I thought that was one of the biggest plays of the night.
Well, there were a lot of big plays, and I felt a lot of people in the second half got in there. Again, we put an opportunity for our JV to get in the fourth quarter, and again, they did a nice job themselves.
They did.
And again, a sign of growth, a sign of just getting better. Not just a scout team during the week.
Yeah.
They're actually coming in and producing, and how they're having a good season on Saturday mornings, which we haven't talked at all about.
Yeah,
But on Friday nights.
Those guys went down. They went down, got up Saturday morning and went over to Greenville and got a big 40-0 victory over Greenville on Saturday, and they haven't lost this year.
Yeah, they've had a really good year, and we talk a lot more, not so much this year, but the JV team, the scout team, that's an important role.
It is.
It's an important role what they do for us, and knowing what the other team's going to run on Friday and getting our guys ready to go.
They're the card simulators, and they come out, and we spend a ton of time getting those cards ready to go and make sure we color coordinate everything so everybody knows who they are, everybody knows what to do. And it's a little easier to simulate a defense than it is to simulate the other team's offense. And they actually get better as the week goes on because they run those cards every day. And every day it's a different set of cards, but it's kind of the same deal. And so by Thursday, they've got the other team's offense down halfway decent.
Yeah.
And, I know a couple times last 2 weeks ago we were running that zone read, and our JV quarterback, Caden, was doing an excellent job doing it. I mean, it's like we should put this in.
And their job is to make them better, and they are.
They do, and then go out and play our offense and defense then on Saturdays. So it's taxing, but it's well worth it. The other thing you got to say about the JVs also is that Monday, we come in on Monday, we're ready to go. It's a big contact day for us. Well, they haven't got that extra day of recovery like our varsity guys have. And so you kind of got to do a little bit more ones-on-ones on Mondays, and then Tuesdays let those guys get ready to go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of scouts in transition ready to go, they will be getting us ready to go Friday night. Indians have a big one. A lot of implications, but certainly division implications. Two teams with the same records coming in as we head to Tippecanoe. Both teams 6-1. Very big game in the division. Big game in the league. And these are the kind of games you get excited to play for, Coach.
They are. And our players are excited. It's Monday, and I think they're excited. We've got a mission. We know what we want to do, and we'll get down there. I think we know how we want to get it accomplished, and all we got to do now is perfect those techniques, perfect that game plan, and by Friday we should be in the mindset that we are going to get it done. This is the way we're going to do it, and we should be okay.
Tippecanoe is a very good football team. It's had a lot of good success. People know that. What can people expect to see when you go to Chip? The Indian fans expect to see on both sides of the ball for the Red Devils?
Similar offense to ours. Similar in the fact also that both teams have returning quarterbacks. Both teams have returning quarterbacks that were all league last year. Both teams have replaced excellent running backs with additional excellent running backs. They have an excellent running back that his first year getting the ball a lot. We have an excellent running back, Ty Warner, this is the first year he's getting the ball a lot. So that kind of plays into it a little bit. I think both teams have excellent H-back, H-back performances. They've got a couple guys that play H-back. We have a couple guys that play H-back. And we might have a couple more guys, maybe one more guy back on the offensive line, but again, the experience is back on the offensive line is similar on both sides. Receiving corps, similar. Got some kids that played last year. Got some kids that are getting their opportunity to play this year. Got an inside guy that runs jets, just like Dre runs jets. So it's comparable in terms of the personnel on offense.
Defensively, what can we expect to see?
Defensively, they play a little different than I say. They're a two-safety team or a one-safety team, but similar in getting a lot of movement up front with the defensive line. And some years we've had the big monster defensive lines that we don't get a lot of different movement, but rather just play straight double gap it. Sometimes we combine it, and I think this year we're getting a good combination of both, getting some movement and single gap movement, and also getting our double gaps. Always good on the back end. And we've got that experienced linebacking core. I think that's what our strength is, that experienced linebacking core. And we got those three guys on the back end that are pretty darn good. So I think they are in a similar situation. They play with, like I said, they play with two safeties. They're a four defensive back team. They got great experience. And I think both teams understand their defense and know how to play.
Now, one thing I would say about both teams, without getting into all the particulars and the weeds of it, is both teams know what they are good at, and they stick to what they're good at. They don't try to stay out. They don't try to do anything that they're not good at. They know what their strengths are.
I think so, and I think also both teams have played their system long enough that they also know they've seen a lot of different ways people can attack. And that's not something that they haven't not prepared. It's something that if you play if you're a one safety team or if you're a two safety team, you understand. Well, these are plays that should work against two safeties. These are plays that should work against one. These are this or this or this or this, and you've covered that during the summer. You don't want it's hopefully it's not a surprise. You never know. You can always come up with something. But generally speaking, you kind of have an idea of how they tackle those plays.
Well, Friday night should be a good one, and I have no doubt that people are going to be in for a treat for a good football game on Friday night.
Definitely.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about our players, our seniors portion of the program. If two guys, again, it's almost a repeat of what we say of two personalities, two leaders. They lead again in different ways, but have been such an important part of not just the program, but have really made a big impact on the team's success, not only just this year, but last year. And yet, these are guys that are leaders that guys in the locker room follow. And we call them Brownie and Big Frazier.
So I'll tell you what, those guys have just done a ton for us. They've done a ton for us. And, that kind of started their confidence. Both of them were good, players last year. Played some plays. Both of them. I think Frazier had a game where he caught 2 touchdowns, and I think Brownie went deep a couple times and worked on their blocking. And we had some other people. We had Gio and Corey in there, and mixing. They kind of mixed in. Now this year is kind of their year, and I really think their success started this spring when they led that track team to that Miami Valley conference championship. And those guys, they were integral into the whole thing. And the med band obviously was the big part of it, but I think those guys were just as integral. And once that happened, they came into summer and they were ready to roll. Frazier came in and done a great job at defensive back, and then also plays a little bit of receiver. And Brownie's a full-time receiver for us, and also gets a chance to give us a little return. So in both situations, great guys. I had the pleasure of having them in my class, and hard workers, enthusiastic. One of the things we stress quite a bit is if your best players don't have your best attitude, you're not going to be a good team. Your best players aren't your hardest workers. And I kind of went even further. Sometimes I probably get a little carried away with it, but it's like if you've got to love fundamentals. You just got to love. You can't get bored doing the same thing over and over again. You got to make it a challenge every day, because every day is going to be different. You may do the same thing, but the environment changes all the time. It's constant. The environment changes. It's like anything else. A guy comes out and says, "Well, you guys look slow last Friday night." Somebody might say, "Oh, we played against a very fast team." Wait for 2 weeks from now when we play a team that hasn't won a game. I bet we'll look faster. Because the environment changes all the time, and I think those guys have done a great job of continuing practicing their fundamentals. Great leaders, just here. People take it for granted. They go, "We had somebody miss this week. We had somebody miss this week." Guys don't miss. They're here.
They love being. One thing about these two guys, again, they sound like they're hard like the other guys, but they just like being around their teammates. They like being in the locker room. They just like being here.
Yeah.
And when you like being here, you don't miss.
No. And it's a great facility. I like being here too. Nice place.
Well, Coach, thanks for your time today, and we certainly wish you good luck on Friday night as the Indians head to Tippecanoe.
Got it.
We are going to come back for the second portion of the program. We're going to talk to Ryan Brown, and we're going to talk to Elijah Frazier. We're going to find out about why do they like to come here so much. We'll be right back. Welcome to part 2 of week 8 Phil Neese's Coaches Show. With us now is the players, and the players portion of the program. They're going to give us their names and the positions that they play.
Ryan Brown, wide receiver.
Elijah Frazier, cornerback and wide receiver.
Brownie, I'm going to let you keep it. Indians have been on a roll here. We are 6-1 going into this week's game. You have been a part of the program really through the good years, in particular the last year has really been good for Pickle. What's it been like to be a part of that program and be a part of such a good, successful time?
It's been great. I couldn't ask for a better team. I couldn't ask for better teammates and the coaches. I really enjoy it. There's not a day where I don't leave practice upset at the coaches or my players. It's great to be around everybody.
One thing for the two of you guys, I think epitomize it, but this has come up every week, is the chemistry and how well you guys get along. There's 21 of you guys, seniors in particular. I think each of you have your own personality, but there's a personality to this team that you generally get along very well, not just on the field, but off the field. Would you agree?
Yeah, we've been playing together since 3rd grade, even like maybe flag football. We've been playing some tackle football since 3rd grade.
Yeah. Big Frazier, as we call you. Some call you 937. I can see that because of the thigh tattoo. Frazier, tell us a little bit about your experiences and what's it like to put on your uniform on a Friday night, because I know you take that pretty serious.
Man, it definitely changed from back when I was like in 3rd grade to now. Like putting on that jersey just means a lot more than just going out there on a Friday night to play and look all cool. It's more than like a deeper meaning than that. We want to go out there and win, and the day that it comes to like the time for the football games, we're prepared and we're already ready, because at practice we're putting our blood, sweat, and tears out there. So it's more of a dedication thing to us than it is just for fun and games.
Well, you talk about the commitment. I see that not just on Friday nights, but I have the opportunity to see it behind the scenes a lot in the weight room in the off season and those things. Going into this week's game, obviously it's a big game. We don't need to get into that part of it, but for you, for both of you, because I like it, both answer this question. Going into this week's game, when you put all that time and effort into it, and you have the opportunity to showcase it on a big stage, what's that like for you?
Man, that's amazing. I mean, it's honestly an honor, really, when you think about it, because it's not just like the city of Piqua watching us. There's also, I mean, the city of Tip City's gonna be watching us play too, also. So like, to think that more than just the people around us is watching, it just means a lot more to us. It makes me want to like go out there and show what I can do to others.
Brownie, take that on that stance. You got Friday night, you got a stage there that a lot of people are going to be interested, not just Piqua and Tip City, but it's going to be a big one. And the work that you guys put in the off season, I mean, this is what it's got to be all about.
Yeah, I just know we're prepared and we're ready to go into the game Friday and do our thing like we always do every week.
One more thing about football, and then we'll get into the post-football piece for you, what comes next. You guys have had some moments this year that have challenged you, as well as also put you in a spot where you also succeeded. What is the secret to your success of coming to practice every single day and ready to get after it? I was at practice a little bit today, and to me, it was no different. You're week 8. It's no different than it was week 1 in terms of the enthusiasm, the energy level, and all that. How do you keep that rolling?
I think we just gotta love enjoying doing what we do every week and doing the fundamentals. Because I love going to practice every day and just doing the fundamentals. It keeps me good, keeps me in shape.
And you like achievements?
Yeah, obviously.
Frazier, what do you think?
Well, the same thing pretty much what Ryan just said. I love just coming to practice. Like, when I'm at school, really the only thing I'm thinking about is when is class going to be over so I can go out into the field and have practice. Like, when I'm just out there, not even just with my friends and my teammates, but like also my coaches, like the fact that I get to also learn and become more of a man while I'm out there, it just feels way more to me than it really does.
Good stuff. Well, let's talk about the next step a little bit. And graduation will be here. I know it seems like a long way away, but it gets here fast. You'll actually be at Alexander Stadium getting your diploma. What's the next step for you, Brownie?
I think I'd like to go to college. I don't know where yet, and I'd also like to run track somewhere. I don't know really where yet, but yeah, it's the goal.
Yeah, you guys are multi-sport athletes, and track, we'll talk a little bit about that. You had a great year last year. Your sophomore year was good, but probably a breakout season for you last year as far as putting yourself in a position where people knew who you were. Yeah. What was that like competing a lot in those big key events like the 100 and the 200, and you had an opportunity to run beside who, of course, was an outstanding athlete as well?
Yeah, he was. I really enjoyed it because I looked up to Cy when I ran because he was always beating me every meet. But besides the fact, I just looked up to him. I want to fill his shoes this year and do what he did.
Yeah. Big Frazier, what about you? Competing as a two-sport athlete, what's that like for you?
It definitely it changes your mindset. It makes you more determined to actually do what you want to do, and the fact that I just not even just take track and use it just for track, I also take my track techniques and put it into the football field, and not even just the football field, but the outer world. So really, both just multi-sports just helps you and prepares me really for the life of my future.
Good segue. Outer world. What's next for the outer world? What's the outer world have a lot to expect for you next year?
I definitely will be attending college, hopefully for football. I want to be a chiropractor, so I'll be majoring in kinesiology, and I'll minor in business, so I can eventually own my own business, to get my own business, to be a business owner.
Big expectations and big dreams.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Brian, I know you're kind of getting into it a little bit. You want to run track and you want to play in college. Are there any schools that you're looking at, or do you want to stay close to home? Are you looking to go far away, or does it matter at this point?
I think right now I'm looking at Ashland. I really like their track program, and they just built a new indoor facility this past few years, and I really like the campus, and it's not too far away from home, but at the same time it's a good enough distance where my mom's not banging on my room door.
Close enough that you can get home to do laundry, but not too close that she can't check on you. Yeah. Gentlemen, we wish you guys certainly good luck with that, but we certainly good luck on Friday night.
Thank you.
Speaking of Friday night, the Indians will be again at Tippecanoe. Kickoff will be at 7 p.m. Just as another reminder, limited seating. There will only be 400 seats available. Now, they will not turn anyone away. So anyone that buys a ticket, you have to get it online. Go to the Tip City website, and you can get that. I get that right away. Do not wait until Friday to get it. They will let you in. First come, first served basis. They're going to let you in at 5:30. At that point in time, find a seat. It's probably going to be a standing room only scenario, so make sure you get there early for that game. Also, the highlights will be on the Indian Nation station. You'll find that over on Monday after the Bill Neese's Coaches Show. Guys, good luck again. We wish you all the best, and we'll see you Friday night at the park.